Hello, this is Larissa Vogler, and I'm back with you today to talk about equity and the equitable distribution of funds within the municipality, or lack thereof. Since amalgamation, this has been a huge issue for us in the eastern wards, specifically 5 and 6, because we don't feel like we're getting what we deserve and our money isn't being spent where we live. I watched the council meeting last night, and it gave me so much insight into the mindset of some of our council members and why this continues to be such a big problem. One of the councillors said that he couldn't support large-scale infrastructure projects in the eastern part of the municipality, Ward 6, because we are slow growing, so it's not justifiable. But I would argue that the reason we're slow growing is because we lack infrastructure and services. And so when people are considering moving here or developers are considering new subdivisions, those options don't exist. Our lagoons can't accommodate. We don't have the infrastructure in place to allow for growth. So it's this horrible catch-22, and we can never find our way out of it. We need infrastructure to grow, but they won't give us infrastructure without justifying it with growth. There was another comment made that really got to me, and it had to do with the Park Development Fund and raising the charges for that with new development. Councillor McKinley suggested that those that live in a rural area should not have to pay as much as those who live in town because our access to parks is limited. But it was countered with the statement that we should all pay the same because the parks are there and they're available to us to use, but we just choose not to use them. So amalgamation, This reminds me so much of the multi-use recreational facility, the Atlas Tube Center, that we all continue to pay for, but only a small area of the municipality actually uses. In Ward 6, we have one municipal park. The park in Comber is Agricultural Society, and yes, the municipality contributes to it. The park in Lighthouse Cove is pretty much funded and maintained almost exclusively by the Lions Club here. So in our entire large ward, the only park access, real park municipal access that we have is Stony Point. If we talk about the parks in the other wards and how well we should pay for them because we have access to them, who's going to drive 20 or 30 kilometers to the nearest large-scale park or the walking paths or the splash pads? Why should someone who lives kilometers away pay the same rate as someone who lives within walking distance to these services? It's not fair. And that's not to mention the fact that in these large rural wards, we have additional revenues being generated, large agricultural farms that all are taxed and that require very minimal services. They don't have street lights or curbs or sidewalks, none of that. And then there's also the windmills, which generate $2.7 million a year. I don't see that money being spent in the areas where the windmills actually exist. I'm going to pause there and move on to part 2 of this.